Are you or a loved one suffering from a medical coincidence? You want proper medical care, but you don't want people sniffing around asking a whole bunch of questions about what might be causing your problem. At the Kaufman Institute for Coincidence, we won't look into the cause of your heart or other problem, we'll just fix it. That's right, we promise to only look at your symptoms. We won't get all curious looking for causes, because that could get your employer or your doctor into some legal hot water. And nobody wants that. At Kaufman, we understand that coincidence is now the leading cause of death.
Hey, we've got another coincidence over here.
If we want to operate at the speed of science, there's no time for looking for causes. No pesky questions about drugs or vaccines you may have been given. At Kaufman, we specialize in the effects and leave the causes to the conspiracy theorists. And let's be honest, we know the cause anyway. It was a coincidence, right? For each new patient, Kaufman's talented team of doctors strap on their blinders and look directly at the problem area, usually the heart, just like the CDC recommends. Our main campus now treats myocarditis, blood clots, heart arrhythmia, stroke, heart attack, magnetic skin, difficulty breathing, full body blisters and burning, convulsions, kidney failure, memory loss, cancer, sudden death, and much, much more. Give your coincidence the attention it deserves, but not the wrong kind of attention. At Kaufman. Schedule your appointment today at kaufmancoincidence.com and receive a doctor's note with a real science-y sounding explanation to provide to your anti-vax friends, proving to them it was definitely not the vaccine that caused your coincidence. Kaufman, because coincidences happen pretty much all the time.
Official medical coincidence partner of the NFL.
I think my favorite part of that is the baby. Coincidence!
The guy's operating. We've got another coincidence over here.
Yeah, there's been a lot of coincidences lately over the last, couple years. I would say that people are starting to question. There's a lot of coincidences. Is that coincidental that there's so many coincidences?
I think that's the way healthcare is and always has been, but now it's just being more brought to the forefront and right in front of people's faces.
Yeah. We were talking earlier, guys, I have with me Dr. Stephen Baker. I'm super pumped that you're here. Welcome.
Thank you.
All the way from Idaho. Dr. Baker is a cool cat. He has a podcast of his own called Living as Intended. I was telling him earlier, I really appreciate his take on life. It is one of the things that I appreciate about him was his level of discernment with regard to how God created our bodies and that intentional to live as he created us with respect to innate intelligence inside of us and the world around us and how we're created to live, in a synergistic way. He has a level of discernment that is often confused with cynicism. I think this is a good thing because it means that he is dedicated to finding the truth. And a lot of us, take things at face value. Unfortunately, that's what's happened, I feel like, in the medical realm for the last, 80 to 100 years, where it is, hey, just look right here, only look right here and cover up right here and you're good to go, So his take is, no, let's find the truth, let's seek the truth, and then disseminate that information out to the masses. And so I really appreciate that about you. I love your level of cynicism and it comes out in everything, but it's super cool because there's a lot of things that just are, it's too much. It's too much. It can't be covered up, And I think, we were talking about the good thing is like over the course of the last 2 years of the whole pandemic, because of everything, like the good news is like more people are awake to seeing, wow, it's not that face value. There is something more behind the scenes. And what is that? And I think people are searching more than they ever had before.
Yeah, for sure. And you talk about when this started. It actually started back in 1902 when Rockefeller founded the Rockefeller Institute for Medical Research. And what he did was he took all of his oil money and then he started to use that in order to infiltrate the medical schools. And so when I say infiltrate the medical schools, what I mean by that is he would give them grants, give them money, but there was always a catch that you had to teach the curriculum he wanted. And he started to essentially push out all natural medicine, all herbs, all things that are from the earth, things that God made, things that we really want to consume that's going to help our body heal. That got pushed out and replaced with oil-based pharmaceutical drugs because he had a ton of oil. And then he was able to patent those things. Those things start causing sickness and disease, in particular cancer. So then he founded the American Cancer Institute in order to be able to cover that up. And so from literally early 1900s, that guy, that desire for more finances, regardless of what it does to people, has driven the medical system and the medical model into what it is right now. And I appreciate the medical model for crisis and emergency care. Right? We always talk about this. If we get shot or stabbed, we don't go to your chiropractor. You want to go to the hospital. I'm glad we have it.
Yeah.
But for the most part, it's killing more people than it's helping. But the cool thing is, in 1902, there was also this other guy on the totally opposite side of that named B.J. Palmer. And B.J. Palmer came on the scene right about that time. And I think it's funny how you've got, in a sense, Satan and his guy, right? And you've got God and his guy, because B.J. Palmer designed what's called chiropractic, which we are DCs, doctor of cause. We always find cause. And so there's no coincidence. And when you start to understand the truth about what's going on, and you understand that you can just run it through this filter, which is something I think we should share with the audience today, is this understanding of how the body heals and how you can make sure your body's working properly. When you understand the truth and you have a filter, then the alarms start going off whenever something doesn't pass that, and you realize that there's no coincidence, and you can stop covering up the symptom and start fixing the cause.
Yeah, totally cool. I like that you went there. We were like, we're not going to go there. Oh, we're going to go there. We could go a little bit deeper about what Rockefeller and everything else that
I didn't go all the way. I didn't go all the way there.
No, you
I just
didn't.
went
You
part of the
didn't.
way there. You said soft landing. I'm soft landing it.
But yeah, I think to those that are new to even understanding that, because you want to go, like if you have a health problem, you want to go to somebody, you want to trust somebody that says, here's your problem. I have the answers. I have the solutions for you. And sadly, most people were funneled into that like very narrow approach of here's your symptom, let's cover it up so that you feel better, not realizing that it was creating so many more problems. And ultimately, that's really what it does, is it shortens the lifespan, just creates so much more problems, sickness, disease, because the root cause never got corrected.
And the thing you said that really stuck out to me right there is so you can feel better. And I would argue that the majority of people watching this, people listening to this, if I ask you what do you base your health on, most of the time when I speak to a large group of people, I can go up and whisper in someone's ear the answer without the audience saying it. It's always the same thing. Every time I get bet hundreds of dollars on it. You base your health on how you feel. And so when you base your health on how you feel, ultimately what happens is you really don't do a whole lot for your health until you start feeling the symptoms. And the symptoms don't pop on. It's not like they come out of nowhere, right? The symptom happened because the problem's been there for a long time and just never been addressed properly. And then back to this medical system that you're supposed to be trusting for your healthcare. Like you said, we've been funneled into this thing, which is going to the doctor and asking for an answer, because nobody wants to feel crappy. No one wants to be sick. They want someone they can trust. But if your only answer is a drug and all you can do is cover up a symptom, you never actually fixed anything. But if you change the way someone feels, they're happy with the result until.
And they're like, oh, it must be working.
Right. So
until it's not. And then, it's a coincidence.
Yeah.
It's a coincidence that something else is problematic.
But the thing that you and I have a lot of stuff in common, but one of the things that we have in common is we understand real health. And we understand that the first four letters of the word health spell heal. And so if we can get people to understand that your health is not based upon how you feel, instead it's based upon how you heal, and then talk about what is it that heals the body, how does the body heal? Because ultimately you and I both have the same goal, and that's every one of our listeners and people that we talk to, becoming their own doctor, right? And
Yeah.
being able to be healthy for a long time because of understanding how it actually works.
Right. That empowerment, for sure. Which, again, if you're not seeking answers, if you're not understanding where health comes from, then you're never going to find it, because you literally have the wrong roadmap to health. And that's like totally for I would say, 99% of our world population, we can see, even if you knew nothing, you look over the last 2 years, what is that roadmap that we've been given, and how's it working out for us? Cancer's on the rise, heart disease is on the rise. We're not getting better from all these things, and the vaccines that were pushed. Can't say that, but
I think we'll bring vaccines out on the next episode. But going back to healing, I think it's the coolest thing in the world, and it's for some reason the most it's almost like a secret that we have this amazing ability to heal our bodies. God built us to heal. That's the way we're designed. Mm-hmm. And so we have an intelligence inside your body that is constantly working. In chiropractors, we call it innate intelligence. You can call it whatever you want, but it's an intelligence you don't have to learn. You're born with it, and it's working 24/7, 365, and it never messes up. Mm-hmm. So the fever is not a bad thing. The fever is your child fighting an infection and raising the temperature to win, right? Any symptom you have is an adaptation to your environment, and that's that intelligence that's adapting, doing something to adapt so that you don't die, you survive. Mm-hmm. That's what symptoms are, but we've been trained to see symptom as a problem, right, and cover it up. So let's talk a little bit about this intelligence, how it works, why chiropractic, why someone should choose what they eat, what they don't eat, things like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so if we have respect that innate intelligence, and that's what I always tell all of our patients is, your body at all times, 365 days a year, 24/7 is always working to keep you alive. That is its job. That is its core focus at all times, right? And so if we go about life in respect to that, saying, okay, I know my body is doing everything that it can to produce life for me. What are the things that I can do to not interfere with that and to help support what it's trying to do? And I think if we look at it from that perspective, then that changes a whole lot of things about how you eat, how you even think, what types of things come into your body, and what you do for it, rather than, like you said, just waiting for a symptom to show up and then, hoping and praying that you can figure out how to make it go away, that it's a bad thing. Well, the symptom comes, you're honoring that, okay, my body is telling me there is something wrong. Now what do I need to do to get it back into balance, right?
Yeah, or not even having a symptom ever. My goal, I was thinking about the other day, and I was just kind of reflecting on asking myself, what is my health goal? Because I ask patients that. I say, what's your goal? And a lot of times people look at you with a blank stare because they've never, A, actually had to think about it. B, most people don't even realize the potential that they have inside of them and their ability to be completely asymptomatic on no meds, feel like $1,000,000, better sleep than ever, more energy than ever, everything comes back. So it's I don't even know. So I had to come up with my own answer to that, and my answer is I want to live the rest of my life completely asymptomatic. I want no chronic symptom, no need that I would ever, if I lived in the main healthcare system, need a medication for, and be fully functional. I don't want someone else wiping my ass when I'm 90 years old. I want to do that myself. I want to hang out with my wife. I want to be going on hunts and being in the mountains.
Totally. Mm-hmm.
But the best way to do that, when it boiled down to it, is my body has to work at a really high level. I have to heal at a really high level, which means I'm truly healthy and have no problems. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And so for me, when I explain it to patients, and this is the same thing you just said, there's no interference, right? The power that made the body heals the body, but there can't be any interference. And that's the principle of chiropractic at the very core level. Now, those different types of interference, the one that you and I work on all the time with patients, and the one you're not going to Google or going to find anywhere else, is the nervous system.
Right.
So when a patient comes into our office, we are looking for any interference in the nervous system, because all that intelligence that God put inside you has got to go from your brain down your spinal cord and out your nerves to every single part of your body. So if I cut the nerve to your heart, we know it's dead. Mm-hmm. If I put constant pressure on that same nerve to your heart over time, And I like to ask questions. So as you're watching this or listening and I pause, it's not like I'm slower ahead, like a short circuit. I'm pausing so that you can answer the question.
If I pause it, it's because I'm slow. But, okay.
If I put constant pressure on the nerve over time, is your heart going to get healthy or sick? Most everybody's going to say sick, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the sooner we understand that when there's pressure on a nerve, wherever that nerve goes, that part of your body's dying.
Right.
It took me 10 years in practice to start being bold enough to say that when there's pressure on a nerve, wherever that nerve goes, that part of your body's literally dying right now. It just takes time. And throughout that process, symptoms can pop up, and that's the alarm that goes off.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And so if there's pressure on that nerve, it's dying or irritation, whatever you want to call it, to that nerve. You get the symptom downstream. You treat the symptom. Guess what happens? Is it going to come back? Is there going to be other problems? Yes, because the problem isn't downstream, it's upstream. And how many people, it makes perfect sense. Man, his name escapes me, but there's a doc, he's like a biological dentist actually. And I'll go back and think of it 2 a.m. tonight when I'm sleeping. But I love that he says, the closer you are to the truth, the more simplistic the solution is, right? I mean, that's so true. I'm like, totally, yes. Because, we spent billions and billions and billions in the pharmaceutical industry with all these medications, looking at the symptoms where it's like, here's the cause, remove the cause, let the body heal, do its job. And like you said, I think there is so much potential out there for your body to, you should be able to operate at a very high level, high potential. Why can't you be hunting in the mountains in your 80s and 90s,
Well, the thing is, so the reason why there be pressure on a nerve is also so simple, right? But just because it's simple doesn't mean we should bypass the significance.
Right.
And so 2 vertebrae in your spine stuck, not moving, that's called a subluxation. Subluxation causes inflammation. Inflammation is what puts pressure on a nerve. So it's so simple that we literally have to get a bone to move properly and watch the body heal, because now the brain's connected to that part of the body and there's no more interference. But guess what? They can't patent that. Us as chiropractors, we haven't banded together to raise billions of dollars to put the commercials out to go, hey, all you have to do is get your spine adjusted and you can heal. That doesn't exist, right? So then what's perpetuated is the lies, because the lies they can make a whole lot more money off of, which is, here's a patented way for you to cover up the symptom and just die slower.
Right.
But feel better along the way.
Or lies and fear. Like, fear is what moves people, right? I could tell you, if I said, oh, you have subluxation, which is literally killing the life out of your body, it is keeping that life force getting to wherever it needs to go, right? Or if I said, you have subluxation, or if I said, you have cancer, right? Because people don't know. If I said there's subluxation, they're like, oh.
There's not as much weight with the word.
Yeah.
But let me scare people. Hey, listen, if your children haven't been checked for subluxation, they're literally dying on the inside. And if you don't do something about it now, your children will end up with symptoms, headaches, migraines, digestive issues, and they're all going to be sick. But you as a parent can do something about it right now. Stop getting your kids' teeth checked. Stop taking them to a pediatrician for a well check, which is really nothing but measuring their head and their weight and comparing them against other healthy kids. And take your children to a chiropractor and get them checked for subluxation. If you don't, you should be scared. There you go.
Very good.
So anyway, 4 other ways that your body can be interfered with. Number 1 is your nutrition. If you're not eating well, right, which is a big topic on your show and with your audience, you have to eat really well, because the food that you consume is literally what your body turns into the cells that you are. Another one is your fitness and your exercise. If you are sedentary, you are sick. Then we have toxicity, which I would argue we live in a more and more increasingly toxic world nonstop all the time. And then the last one, and probably most important one, is your mindset. Because if you're not even willing to get on board with what we're talking about right now, because you think that the answers lies in a pill or a needle, then we're probably already lost, right?
Right.
If you think it's someone else's fault, or you have no hope, or there's really no answer, and it's too complicated, health is too hard, you're probably stuck. So your mentality and your mindset, along with discernment, looking for the truth, and being able to find that, that's one of the number 1 ways you should not have interference in.
Yeah, and that's definitely something that Well, let's be honest, they're probably not watching this podcast if they're in that mindset. But hopefully,
Maybe a friend passed it on to you.
That's right.
Maybe you stumbled upon it and you're like, oh my God, these people are wild.
But yeah, so all of those things, going back to, okay, your body is always working on your behalf. It's creating energy for you. Ultimately, it boils down to the ability of a cell to produce oxygen, right? So the minerals that we intake, the nutrition that we get, the movement that we get through exercise, that's your body's ability to take and use oxygen for energy. Now you complicate that with toxins, like you said, environmental. We could go on and on about that, and then that even that, those three things also affect your thought process. So, it's like it's a vicious cycle. I had 3 women come into my clinic this week who were all dealing with like anxiety and depression. And, how do I deal with that? I go back, I look at their history, and I say, okay, what's your diet like? What's going around in your world right now? Are you stressed? So what do they all have in common? They're all highly stressed or stressful circumstances. They're all eating chemicals and toxins, right? And they might be trying to exercise, but they don't even have enough energy that they can exercise. So they're like so burdened with toxins and, just crap that's anti-innate that their body can't even process the right thoughts for them or the hormones to produce joy. It's anxiety and depression. And even if I look like 10 years ago when we had like our patient intake forms, 10 years ago, it wasn't even like here, it's the normal. I look at their intake forms. It's like anxiety, check, depression, check, fatigue, check. Like people don't even know that's abnormal. Your body should not be experiencing those things, but that's like so common these days. And in our defense, in these people's defense, like we're not learning that, right? Nowhere in your healthcare system, in your learning in school, does it say, you should be living 80 to 90, 100 years of healthy, joyful, energetic life. We've lost sight of that for sure, 100%, right? So first and foremost, you need to find a good chiropractor and, obviously, unless you live like in the vicinity of Idaho or Ohio, we understand you're not going to come to us. But I'm saying that should be a number one source of your health care for you and your entire family. That, just over the head of most people.
On the thing with finding chiropractors, listen, not all chiropractors are the same. So you need to know that going into it. And even if you go to a chiropractor and it doesn't work out that great for you, or you just didn't really like it there, or maybe they suck at adjusting, or whatever it was, don't give up on chiropractic because you haven't found the right chiropractor, right? So let that stick with you. But ultimately, even if you had okay chiropractic care, it's a whole heck of a lot better than sitting back and taking drugs and waiting for something else to work.
Agreed. Yeah. And I like my future, my desire, my hope for everybody in this audience and our community is like to see those generations where they're living the chiropractic. It's truly a lifestyle. It's like, okay, how do I help my body to heal from the inside out? Make sure my nerve system is at its abundant. Make sure that I'm eating clean. That's our biggest thing. As we developed as we're developing and in the process of making those supplementation lines, it's like, what are the minerals and nutrients that we need, and how do we get them in a very clean and in line with how God created our bodies and our environment? Instead of right now, it's very difficult for me to say, hey, go take this, and this, without me, like literally, I have every patient, I'm like, because they're, you probably get this too. Hey, doc, what do you think about this? Can I take this? I'm like, bring it in, let me look at the ingredients, because half the time I'm like, nope. Because they sell you with like the good stuff. We all know, like Magnesium. Magnesium is great, but then it's also, they got sucralose, they've got Blue Lake, whatever, 40, Red Lake 40, I don't know, some kind of coloring in it, or high fructose corn syrup. So there's so much deception there, where people think that they're doing a good thing for their body and they're legitimately trying, but it's so hard these days because there's just so much stuff that is approved by FDA that really should be labeled as poison.
Let's talk about FDA approval in the next episode.
Good one. That's a good idea. All right, guys. So thanks for watching. We're super psyched that you are a part of Rugged Athlete. Thanks, Dr. Baker, for being on today. I want to make sure that you catch us in the next episodes. I'm going to get in with Dr. Baker a few more times and just hit on his lifestyle, and because he is a rugged athlete, and he is everything that we promote and that we want for all of our listeners out there.